What's up, guys? Jeff here. Just kicking off today's episode to get us all on track and build unstoppable habits. Now, today's topic is on the aspect of unstoppable habits, building positive and removing negative ones. Now, this is very important because habits are what moves us in a direction. Okay? Habits are what moves us in a direction. Now, depending on those habits, they're either going to move us in a positive direction towards where we want to go or who we want to be, or they're going to be negative habits that destroy us, bring us down, and make us not who we want to be. So let me go through a couple positive examples. A positive example is daily exercise, right? Daily exercise is a positive habit that is going to have a long-term positive outcome on your life. A negative habit is maybe smoking cigarettes, right? It's a negative action that is detrimental to your life. Now, on the other side again, you've got positive habits. Waking up on time. Then we've got negative habits. Going to bed too late. You've got other things that are just not necessarily a habit, but just not good skills, right? Sleeping in is a habit that you continually will do. But it doesn't elicit a positive response, and most likely it elicits a negative response. So what we want to talk about today, guys, is simply that. Building unstoppable habits that actually are beneficial for you and removing the unstoppable habits that you currently have in place that don't result in the outcomes that you want. Now, the problem that we have, guys, is that habits are something that is just a general thing that we become accustomed to. We oftentimes don't realize the things that are habits for us, okay? Habits, routines, rituals, processes that are repeated, okay? Think about a habit almost on the completely extreme side of OCD, okay? A habit is an activity that you do consistently and frequently, but you are past the point of the OCD point of it needing to be obsessive and compulsive about it because it's so ingrained. It's an unstoppable habit currently, okay? So, sorry, I just dropped a screw. So, habits are all about figuring out what is not positive, what is a not positive habit that we're doing, and create a new positive habit out of it. The problem for many people is that we want to try and take a habit away or take an action away without replacing it with a positive habit in its place and or a habit in a way that moves you in the direction of the positive place. Now, I'm going to go to my domino theory, okay? And dominoes is very easy to understand this. Certain activities each day require a lot of effort. They require a lot of motivation. They require a lot of encouragement, and sometimes they require other actions to precede them. A good example of this is simple. Every morning you wake up, you brush your teeth, you might take a shower, you get dressed, you get in your car, you go to the gas station, you go to that coffee place on the way, and then you go to work. That's a habit. That's a routine, and that's a ritual. You probably just didn't realize it. But each one of those steps is a habit that is also a domino. That domino is small to start. Wake up. Small domino. It knocks over. That small domino leads to a slightly bigger domino. That next domino in this case was brushing my teeth. That next domino after brushing my teeth was either taking a shower or putting on my clothes, right? And that next bigger domino was then getting in my car. And that next bigger domino was going to the gas station. And then the gas station led to the coffee place, and the coffee place led to the gym, or led to work. Each one of those dominoes was small, but slightly bigger than the previous, and it knocked down the next. It was movement and momentum building and generating in that direction. So think about it like this. We cannot remove a domino and expect to keep the dominoes in play. We must replace a domino or change its domino position to hit a different continuation of dominoes. Now, you want to first think about what is the problem that we want to stop. What is the not positive habit that we currently have and we currently want to remove? This is a hard thing to do unless you have someone like me in your corner. And the reason it's hard is because it requires self-reflection and attention to detail. And self-reflection is very challenging, especially when it comes to looking at the things that we're doing now and asking ourselves if those are actually what we're supposed to be doing. It's hard. It's very hard. It's very hard to look at ourselves when we're eating a pile of shit, and I'm going to say shit like a bag of Wendy's or something, but you're eating garbage, and it's really hard to look at yourself and be like, well, I shouldn't be doing this, and I'm not going to anymore. Because it takes a lot of recognition to realize that you're doing something wrong. And it takes a lot of acknowledgement to stop yourself from continuing to do it. Because once you've made it acceptable, you're going to always find and continue to make it acceptable. You must change the mindset around it. So first off, we must find what our problems are. What is our unstoppable habits that we want to get rid of? What are things that negatively impact our end goals, end results, or stop us in general? The best way to do this, guys, is simple. Grab a piece of paper and write down negative and positive, right? Write a line down the center and draw a negative and a positive on each side. From there, do this in 4 ways. We're going to do this a 4 quadrant because it's going to actually make it a little bit better for you, okay? So you're going to have 4 quadrants. You're going to have a plus line and a negative line. And then you want to draw a line right through the center of this. So you have 4 quadrants, okay? Now, you have 2 negative quadrants and 2 positive quadrants. What you want to list down in each of these quadrants is inside the negative quadrants, you want to have one of the quadrants being negative habits you believe you're doing. Then in the other negative quadrant, negative habits in general. Things that you can just list in general. What are things that you might deem as a negative habit? Okay. The reason we want to do this is, first off, you want to put down what you believe you're doing as negative. Without writing your own actions down and putting like, this is not good, this is good, without putting those down, you're never going to understand internally and deeply which one is positive and negative. So first you must address it and acknowledge it. So write it down. Write down the things and be truthful that you believe is a bad habit. Maybe it's smoking. Maybe it's staying up too late. Maybe it's having too much wine. Maybe it's being inconsistent with your workouts. Maybe it's argumentation after every comment. Whatever it may be, what's a negative habit that you have? From there, in the other negative quadrant, write down negative habits, right? Negative habits in general. Maybe it's habits that you see in other people. Maybe it's things that you just don't want to ever do. Just write down negative habits. The reason that this quadrant is important is because by writing down other negative quadrants, not negative quadrants, but other negative habits, you also acknowledge what you also deem not good. Now, you might also find that as you're writing this, you realize like, hey, maybe I do that. And then it can move up to the quadrant that you are doing in negative habits. Now, from here, this is where it actually gets more fun because we're going to start on the positive side of the quadrant by writing down what we think is positive habits. What are positive actions and habits and routines and rituals that you would deem positive in general? Do you wake up on time? Do they take the trash out daily? What is something that you do that's positive? Taking a shower, brushing your teeth, whatever it is, right? Start small and gradually get more and more and more positive habits in general. Okay, what is a positive habit? Drinking water, petting your animals, going for a walk, exercising for 10 minutes, whatever it is. Write those positive habits in the other positive quadrant. From there, you have 1 quadrant remaining, and that's positive habits that you do. So acknowledge the positive habits that you do. Okay, what are you currently doing? Now, once you have this whole list, you're going to have a nice big sheet of a bunch of positive and negatives. And the reason this, again, is important is because by having it written down, you have defined in your own words and physically, by actually writing it down, you've actually defined all these things in the real world to yourself. You now have acknowledgement and understanding and realization of what you're referring to. It's no longer only in your head. You could share this with your spouse. You could share this with family members, or you could share it with a coach. And the reason why, again, sharing this, though, is important is because they also get to help you, okay? Help is important. No one climbs Mount Everest by themselves. If they do, most likely they're going to die. Everybody has a Sherpa and a guide. And the reason that they all have a Sherpa and a guide is because it's always better and safer to do it with someone else. And that someone else helps you along the way. They help you miss holes in the road. They help you swerve rocks, and they help you make the path easier because 4 eyes is always better than 2. More visual observation of something always helps figure out the problem faster than singular observation. So again, we share our habits with someone. If we don't share it with someone, at least share it virtually inside of a Facebook group, a social group, or something. Now, as soon as you share it, right, maybe you're going to get more feedback, and that feedback is going to be more negatives and more positives, or maybe they're going to be encouraging. Now, this is where the unstoppable habits get fun. Now it's about doing them or not doing them. So, first off, we need to figure out the habits we want to remove. So we simply start saying, hey, I don't want to do that thing, or I don't want to do that thing. But instead of simply removing it, right, we don't want to just have a void. We must always have something in its place. We must put something else in its place, okay? So how this would work is, imagine that one of my negative habits was smoking cigarettes. And what I decided is that smoking cigarettes was no longer a habit I wanted to do. So instead of just saying, I'm going to stop cold turkey, I'm not going to smoke anymore, because, think about it, smoking requires me to stand up, it requires me to go outside, it requires time alone, it requires me to go do activity, it requires me to have space away from others, it requires me to have social time possibly. There's a lot of benefits to smoking, even though smoking is not healthy. So when I'm saying benefits, there's other parts of it that the action of smoking elicits, okay? So you can't just say, I'm going to stop smoking, because guess what? If you got up every day to go smoke 10 times a day, and it took you 5 minutes, that's 50 minutes of activity time now that you are now sitting or standing or sitting at your desk still, that you weren't doing it before. So now all of a sudden you have extra time and you don't know what to do with it. So you go looking for other bad things to do, or you go looking and wondering, and eventually go back to the old tendencies. So that again is why it's so important to actually fit a new habit or new activity in place of anything removed. Because by removing again, you leave a void, and you're always going to want to fill the void. So instead of filling the void with the past negative, you want to fill the void with a new positive. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, we talked about dominoes. And now sometimes a domino might not be able to be placed back in the same place, okay? Consider it like this. I know that exercise is a positive habit, but I also know smoking is a negative habit. Now, I can do this in one of two ways. I can do a smoking habit as an exercise, which simply converts my going and smoking. So every time I have the craving to go and smoke, instead of going and smoking, I go I go in the stairway and run up and down the stairs of the office building. That's a switch, okay? That's taking one domino, which is equally sized, spaced, and timed, and fitting it with a new positive habit domino, which is, again, equally the same amount of time, space, and energy, right? It still takes 5 minutes. It's still down in the office. It still allows you to get out of your seat. It still allows you to possibly go interact. It still allows you to get your breath and go and get fresh air. And it allows you a change of scenery. So it keeps all the positives I initially said about smoking, but removes the actual negative activity of smoking and puts a positive activity of exercise. So that would be a pairing, an alternative of the same. However, sometimes a pairing might not be the same. And that might not pairing be the same could be smoking and actual exercise. I know I need to get an hour of exercise in a day, and I know I need to stop smoking. So this is a different domino. Exercise hour is different than the 10 sessions of 5 minute smoking, right? So those require different levels of mental energy, mental, motivation, and the ability to, again, stop myself 10 times from doing something to reserve it for later on. So what you then do in place of that kind of alternative is simply slide your dominoes down. You try and find other dominoes that make positive movements. Some of these dominoes are very, very easy. We know that based on historical data with clients, that if we have someone start their morning with either exercise or a healthy meal, the rest of their day is better. The reason for this is because they've put a positive action that will continue to push positive momentum. But if the first action of the day was shit, like I woke up and ate a Pop-Tart, I'm probably going to be more forgiving about the other actions of positive benefits, and I'm probably going to allow myself to slack off because I already did it from the get-go. So how do we slide things down? Well, we slide them down by figuring out what is new steps, processes, or dominoes that I can hit to get where I want to go. Now consider this. Again, an hour of exercise is way different than 10 mini sessions of 5 minutes of smoking. But 10 mini sessions of 5 minutes of smoking still adds up to 50 minutes. So what I could consider here is a couple things. I could consider trying to put exercise at the end of the day or put exercise at the beginning of the day. For me personally, I know I do better in the morning. But for you, you might do better in the morning or night, and your schedule might change that. So what I would do is say, I'm not going to smoke today. But what I'm going to do is have a positive action first off in the morning. So I'm going to start my day by brushing my teeth just the same. I'm going to start my day by then getting in the shower. And I'm going to start my day by then, after getting out of the shower, having a protein shake. Now, all I did was add a new domino there. Okay, because I still was talking about just smoking throughout the day. Now I've added a positive domino first thing in the morning that was a new positive domino, which is protein shake directly after my shower. And the reason this is beneficial is because now the next step is going to be that plus one, meaning your other action was getting dressed and going to the gym or going to work. Well, now you've got a protein shake. So now most likely you're going to make another positive decision. You might make yourself food or you might have a better coffee. You might also be able to have time now to go to the gym. Maybe all of a sudden you figured out, hey, I have the ability and freedom now. Or maybe you just go about your day just the same. Now again, when you go to the office and you decide you want to have your cigarette, instead you've switched in a positive habit, which was still getting up and going out. But now you're going out and you're going to go run the stairway. And so now instead of actually smoking, which was a negative habit, I've elicited a similar domino in replace of that negative habit of smoking for running the stairs and doing all the other psychological benefits that I was receiving by smoking. Now at the end of this day, we again continued throughout the whole day, and now we add one more domino. Now we've got positive momentum from our protein shakes, we've got positive momentum from going and running the stairway, and we've got positive momentum from holding the line meaning we did what we committed to, and we didn't smoke. Now guess what? You've probably got motivation, you've probably got encouragement, and you've probably got a little bit of pat on your back because you realize that you succeeded. Well, now what? Success leads to more success. So all of a sudden that large domino that was, wow, I just succeeded at not smoking all day long, turns into, wow, what else can I do? And what else can I do then goes to your next domino that falls into going to the gym. Now all of a sudden we've added two things. We've added going to the gym. We've added three things technically. We've added a protein shake first thing in the morning. We've added increased calorie burn throughout the day and increased activity because now we're going through the stairs instead of smoking. And we've added exercise. And all of them were built by simply realizing the unstoppable habit that's in place now that's negative and replacing it and adding new unstoppable positive habits. And again, by doing that, you will put yourself in a winning position. But to be really honest, the reason why most people don't succeed with anything is because they're trying to do too much. And they're just doing too much of stuff. They're doing too much of this and too much of that. Imagine if you went to a restaurant and on your plate, they served it like a buffet. When I say a buffet, meaning they had 17 different food items on one single serving plate. Probably be like, wow, none of this tastes very good. It all tastes like shit. It all tastes very boring. And the reason for that is because it's all done with half-assed effort. So we want to think about trying to remove things. Remove a bunch of stuff and just put in what's important. Put in habits and activities that give us the result we want. So again, go back to the homework part of this video, which was simply creating a piece of paper, writing a line down the middle and a line through the center, and writing plus and minus on each side. From there, you're going to write, you have 4 quadrants now, and in each quadrant of the negative, you're going to have negative habits you currently do and negative habits in general. And on the positive side, you're going to start with positive habits in general and then positive habits that you do. At that point, you're then going to start dissecting them down and figuring out which parts of the day you're currently doing negative habits, and then which positive habits are easy and similar that you can start either adding in as similar dominoes or replacing in the steps to allow the dominoes to hit themselves down and succeed and win. If you guys have questions about this, guys, please feel free to comment below. Ask them in the comments. Interact with this, because I know that by doing that, you're going to also gain more from this. But hopefully you guys learned a little bit in this 20 minutes about how to look at your habits that you're currently doing, which is every action you are doing is a habit, and seeing whether it's a positive habit giving you the outcomes and results and momentum you want, or it's a negative habit destroying and deteriorating the work and effort that you are putting in. Other than that, guys, hopefully you guys got a lot from this. I'll see you soon.